also superpowers and romance and danger and secrets, lots and lots of secrets. And the story is based in New York City, so it's a lot of fun. And yes, I did finish it last year. I ended up working with a developmental editor. I might have mentioned the fact that I actually also do freelance developmental editing because I studied publishing in college, but I've been focusing on writing my own novel. So yeah, I worked with a developmental editor who was amazing. She gave me so much incredible feedback, and she suggested some pretty major changes that she said would make the story so much better and so much more enjoyable for the readers to read. And I thought about it because obviously this is my book and it is my story, and I'm completely in charge. So I thought about it and I decided to make some changes. And starting in January of 2025, I've started my revision process that I'm hoping, fingers crossed, is going to be either the last time that I revise this book, or at least second to last, because I might have to revise it again if I end up getting some beta reader feedback. So stay tuned, because once the book is completed, maybe I'll put out a form or something to see if any of you would be interested in being my beta readers. My plan is to query the book or send it off to literary agents to see if anybody is interested to work with me and help me get the book published. So this is a not so short intro. I actually wanted to structure these videos a little bit better, so in these writing diaries I will be talking about what I've been working on so far. I'll be talking about my wins. I'll be talking about my, I guess we could call them, obstacles, and also what I plan to do next. So my game plan for the next couple of weeks. And then also I'll be sharing some data. Let's go ahead and talk about what exactly I've been working on lately. I'm not using any fancy schmancy trackers or anything to keep up with what I've worked on already, what I still have to work on. I pretty much just write in a Word document, and then I have a spreadsheet to track all of my word counts and page counts in progress. And then I also have a journal. This is a journal that one of my very good friends gifted me for Christmas, and I love it. I love it so much that I actually ended up getting a second journal very similar to this from the same brand, just a different design. This one has different kinds of book spines on it. It's very pretty, and I love the edges of it. And yeah, it's almost filled up, so I've definitely made very good use of it. So basically anytime that I definitely traumatizing for the main character. And in addition to the prologue, I also edited 10 more chapters. So in total, I've worked on 11 chapters so far. I think originally, and I'm gonna pull up my data at the end of this video, so stay tuned, but I think originally I had over 40, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it was 40 chapters. It is a little bit difficult to say right now what the total number of chapters is going to be once I finish this round of revisions. I think I'm going to be shooting for like 35 maybe. I definitely want to cut it down, but since I will be implementing some of those big changes that I very vaguely mentioned, the structure of the story is going to change. So I'm going to keep you posted on the chapter count in future writing diary videos. Now let's talk about the wins that I've experienced. I've had some specific goals with this round of revisions, and those goals have been to clarify things that I think I've overcomplicated, to also work on the prose, like how the story actually reads, to cut down the word count because the book is entirely too long, and then to also implement the changes that need to be implemented to again make the story better. And I think that so far I've been successful in doing all of those things. So let me give you some examples. So I mentioned that the main female protagonist goes through a trauma that then affects everything about who she is and what she does. And I think that the way I introduced it, I wasn't very clear in terms of what exactly happened and also why she is taking the steps to work through it. And I think I've been able to make that very, very, very clear, which was very, very important to me. When it comes to the big changes that I'm being so vague about, and by the way, I am being vague because in case this book does eventually come out, I don't want you to be spoiled if you do end up deciding to read it. So there is a character introduced in the beginning of the story who I was so sure was going to be a good guy. Sorry, I had to close the door because I was hearing some annoying background sounds. So, like I was saying, a character that I was so sure was going to be a protagonist, a good guy or girl, no spoilers, but I thought about it, I journaled, and I realized that this character would work so much better as a villain, as a bad guy or a bad gal. And making that change opened up so many possibilities and emotions and all these new areas to play with and to strengthen. It's such a win to fall back in love with a story that you're writing, and I feel like it definitely is happening to me. So I'm very, very, very happy that that's the case. So let's talk about some of the losses, and nothing super dramatic is happening, but two things that I did want to mention, especially if you, if one of you maybe is also working on something creative and maybe you feel that same way. So the first thing has been imposter syndrome, and I've been unfortunately hit with a bit of it, and it's really just this sense or this feeling that I love the story so much, I can really make it into something great, but that maybe I'm not the right person to write it, which I know is not the case because the story came to me and I've been working so hard to develop it and to make it into what it is today. But I think as creatives we just can't help but feel like imposter sometimes, like what are we doing, like who is this for, is it even worth it? But I know that it is. It's just that feeling comes, and yeah, you just kind of have to digest it, understand why you're feeling it, feel it, because there's really no way around it, and then just push it away. So I've been really trying when I get this feeling to step away for a second and do something fun. So maybe that's watching a movie, watching a TV show, having a little dance party in my house, just anything to take my mind off of those feelings and to momentarily maybe plunge myself into someone else's creative mind. Like, you know, when you're watching a movie, somebody came up with all of those scenes and shots and dialogue, whether it's a book and somebody else wrote it and they believed in themselves enough to get to this point where, you know, you're sitting with their book in your hands. So just give myself a bit of a distraction just for a little bit, and then I eventually feel ready to get back to my own writing and I feel re-inspired. Another loss, I guess you could call it a loss, is just the fact that it's been pretty challenging to balance work, life, and my creative projects. I don't think that there really is a solution. I think it's really just a day by day kind of a situation. When I work a full day, I don't always have the bandwidth and the mental capacity to then sit in front of a computer for more hours to be creative. Like, I feel drained and depleted, and it's not a fun feeling, and it does make me sad, because I want to work on my book so bad, but you know, there are also things like having work responsibilities and bills to pay, and I'm somebody who likes to, you know, spend time in my fantasy world that I've built, obviously, but I also like to be realistic. But at the end of the day, the thing is that I don't always have the luxury of having time to write as much as I want to. So it's been tough to navigate it, but again, I'm just taking it day by day, and you know, if I'm not writing, maybe I pick up my phone and I scribble down chapters, life completely transforms. So it's gonna be almost like entering like a new stage of the story, a new level of the story. So I'm very excited. So I just opened up my computer and I pulled up my Excel spreadsheet where I'm tracking how many chapters I've worked on, the original word count, the new word count, the original page count, and the new page count. The page count doesn't matter as much. It's really more so the word count and how much I've been able to cut out. Originally, my book was 172,000 words, which is way too long for a debut, for a young adult novel, for a dystopian or an urban fantasy. So I have a long ways to go, which is why while some authors need to write more because they are underwriting, I need to cut out a lot because I'm definitely an overwriter. Before I go, let me share some of the stats. So the first 11 chapters that I worked on, the prologue plus chapters 1 through 10, originally were 49,190 words. Throughout the editing process, I've been able to get that number down to 39,864, which means that I cut out 9,326 words. I'm gonna do, like I mentioned, another pass, and I'm hoping to get that number up to 10,000, which, I think it's gonna be good. If I could get that even higher, that would be even more amazing, but I think it's definitely very good progress. And then in terms of the page count, obviously this is not the entire book, it's only the first